Are you looking for your life purpose? Have you ever asked yourself, are you truly in alignment with your mind, body, and spirit? And when you go after the things that you love in life, do you experience burnout? Well, if you've ever asked yourself these questions, today is your lucky day. I answer each of these in detail on today's episode of the Silicon Valley to Spirituality Show. Let's go. All right, today's first question is from Daniel in Tokyo, Japan. I am Daniel. I'm a software engineer at a major tech firm. I've checked off all the boxes, good income, prestige, even stock auctions, but deep down, I feel like I'm just existing. I keep hearing people say, you have to find your purpose, but I have no idea where to start. So number one, well, purpose is not a noun. It's a feeling and a state. So we want to really tap into our emotions. Number two is follow what excites you and expands you, even if it scares you. So we live in a society where we are told to do the more responsible thing, to take the higher paying job, to make sure that we have consistency, accountability, and reliability in our lives. And many of the things that bring us the highest amount of joy, what our purpose is, many times those are things that society doesn't deem to be consistent enough or high paying enough, or anything that gives you a high enough probability of being successful at it. Maybe being a YouTuber, an actor, a singer, things of those nature, or even like a professional athlete, right? These things are called pie in the sky opportunities and not really things that people think, oh, if I became this, I would have a high probability chance of being successful, like being an accountant or being a graphic designer or being a product manager or marketer, right? These are all career choices that we could choose that have a high probability that if we get decent at it, we could provide ourselves a living. But being a singer, an actor, a professional athlete, things of that nature, you believe, well, you have to be in the top 1% in order to be successful at it. And that typically scares people off from doing things that are in alignment with their purpose, okay? So one question you could ask yourself to really find your purpose is, well, what would I do if I wouldn't get paid for it? Okay, what would I do even if I didn't get paid for it? That's a better way to ask that question. What would I do even if I couldn't get paid for it? Think about that question deeply, all right? It might be video games, it might be drawing, it might be hanging out at the mall, it might be a whole bunch of different things, but go ahead and write all those things down and make a big list, all right? So some of these things you might be able to monetize. Some of these other things like, sitting at the bookstore, people watching, that might not be able to be something that you can monetize. So cross those out. Just look at the ones that you could actually monetize, and that'll give you a sense of what you could do for your purpose. But also remember that your purpose, it doesn't have to be what you monetize, all right? Your purpose can just be things that really bring you alive. So for example, if you want to be a singer, do you have to be a professional singer in order for that to bring you joy? Or could you sing at a local bar, just for a small audience, right? Does it matter if you have an audience of 50,000 or if you just have an audience of 10, if you are able to do things that really bring you alive? So if you want your purpose to be something that you can monetize, this is what I want you to think about. Think about your purpose as, what is your marketable skill by something you are deeply interested in, and it is also a repeatable service, all right? So maybe your marketable skill is being a graphic designer. Are you deeply interested in designing things? And is this a repeatable service that people will consistently go to you in order to resolve? And if the answer is yes, then you could also monetize your purpose. So one of the steps that I really want to communicate with you is to really think about this, all right? To get clarity on your purpose, it doesn't come through just thinking about what your purpose is. In order to get clarity from or for your purpose, that requires action, all right? When you start taking more action, you will start getting more clarity. The more action you take, the more clarity you will have. And just remember that when you take action, whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, or you get the result you want or the result you don't want, understand that just by taking action, you can learn more about your purpose by understanding what you do like, and more importantly, understanding what you don't like. All right, let me know if that is helpful. Drop a comment below if this helps you find out your purpose. Okay, so let's get into question number 2. All right, question number 2 is from Mia in Lisbon, Portugal. I'm Mia. I've gotten into journaling and yoga over the last year, and I've been feeling more aware, but also confused. Sometimes I think I'm making progress, and other times I feel like I'm forcing things. How do I know when I am in alignment? All right, so this is a wonderful, beautiful question. So think about it this way. Let's define what alignment is. So for me, alignment is a state of coherence between thought, feeling, and action. So when you think about something, when you feel something, and then when you take action in something, are those things in alignment? Okay. And when those are in alignment, your thoughts, feelings, and actions, you are in a state of coherence. So yes, you are going to feel lighter. You are going to feel more energized. You are going to feel more clear, even if what you are doing is challenging. Okay, so what I like to tell people is even when you are in alignment with your life, mind, body, spirit, that doesn't mean that life is going to be easy. All right, life is going to be challenging. But when you face those challenges, when you are in alignment, you will see the challenge as an opportunity and a gift to level up in your life. But if you are not in alignment, when you feel challenges, you will look at every single challenge as a problem. If you look at every single challenge as a problem, your experience of the challenges are going to be arduous, are going to be very challenging, are going to stress you out, are going to give you anxiety, and you are not going to be able to see the beauty in any situation. But when you are in alignment, you start realizing life happens for you, not to you. All right. Everything that is happening is for your greatest good. And when you are in alignment, you will be able to see the silver lining in every situation. When you are not in alignment, everything could be happening in the best way possible for your life, but you will pick at all the different things that are bothering you. You know, you could be going to watch the best movie and then you'll point out the parts of the movie that you don't like. You could be gifted a promotion, but you'll figure out what you don't like about your new job. You will be winning the lottery and you'll come up with an idea of why winning the lottery is bad. But when you are in alignment, you could be in situations that many people would find horrendous or challenging, or situations they would never want to be in, but you will be able to see the silver lining. Like, for example, if you got fired, instead of being upset, you would think to yourself, wow, okay, I got fired. I thought I was doing a good job. I thought I was doing better than my other employees. Perhaps what I really need to do is understand that I need to get better. I will work harder. And then by working harder and getting better, the next time you get a job, you get promoted to being a manager, a director, a VP, or even a C-level executive. And that's what happens when you are in alignment. All right. So if you want to really know if you are in alignment or not, just check in with your feeling. If you feel like you are in friction with what you are doing, then you're not in alignment. You're misaligned. And when you feel like you are in flow, when doing 10 hours of work feels like 2 hours of work, then you know that you are completely aligned. So a good question that you could ask yourself, whether or not you are doing things that are in alignment with your mind, body, and spirit, is to ask yourself, is doing this activity draining me or is it expanding me? And what I could tell you is you can shift your mindset to get into alignment with the activity, any activity. Like, I previously didn't like washing dishes or doing gardening work. So I would have to get into alignment so that doing gardening or household chores and cleaning, made me feel more expansive. So what I did in order to reframe is I thought about, oh, when I finish doing all this gardening work, we're going to have so much more fresh organic food for my family, and they're going to be so much more healthy by eating all of this food that we're doing from all of this gardening. And by thinking about that, I could shift from being misaligned into alignment with the activities that I am doing. Okay, let me know if that helps. You could drop in the comment section. I'm feeling more aligned if you found this advice useful. Okay, so let's get into the last question. Question number 3. Question number 3 is actually from Kevin in Dublin, Ireland. Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm deep in the tech grind, and the truth is, I feel fried. I've tried everything from productivity hacks to cold plunges, and nothing really helps long term. Is there a way to use spirituality to reset my energy without checking out my entire life? Okay, so without checking out of my entire life. So to me, the best definition of burnout is acting out of alignment and resisting your natural rhythm. Or another way to look at burnout is you're either doing too much of what you hate or you're addicted to productivity with no meaning. Okay, and let me repeat that again. You're either doing too much of what you hate or you are addicted to productivity with no meaning. So what you could do to help deal with burnout is to stop, breathe, reconnect. Remember, you are a human being and not a human doer. So stop what you're doing when you're feeling burnt out. Take a deep breath and reconnect with yourself. Okay, so one really good way to avoid burnout, number one, is to get back into alignment. All right, what I talked about alignment, is it expansive or is it contracting you? You could shift your framework of how you view the activity you're doing to get back into alignment. And don't try to think your way out of this. This is more about being a human being versus a human doer. Okay, so burnout doesn't require you to do anything more because that will burn you out. Burnout requires you to commit to inner work, to doing restful practices. You might be surprised, but it is really hard for people to rest and relax because there is so much pressure in the world and they feel like when they're resting and relaxing, they're being lazy. If they're being lazy and not being productive, that means they're not going to hold on to their job. If they don't hold on to their job, they're not going to be able to pay the rent and they're going to be homeless, right? This is how people get burnt out, by having this type of negative feedback loop, constantly just thinking about the same things over and over, hoping that they could think their way out of a problem. When in reality, dealing with burnout is just remembering that you are whole and complete, remembering that you don't have to accomplish or achieve anything to be worthy of the things that you want, and to remember that you are an infinite, eternal being. And when you remember those things, then you get back into alignment, you find your purpose. And when you are in alignment and you know your purpose, there is almost no way that you could burn out because you are in alignment with your purpose. So I wanted to go through all of these three questions in this particular sequence because I wanted you to see how important purpose is to alignment and how important alignment is to not burning out. This way you could take all of your spiritual knowledge, apply it to your daily life, and instead of thinking about you'll be living a better life when you get the new house, or you'll be much more happier when you meet your significant other, or you want to get into the 5D or 6D and that's where utopia is. No, right now is the only moment. If you cannot be happy today, you will not be happy in this fictitious future. So how can we take all of this spiritual knowledge, apply it to our day-to-day lives, and be happy today? All right, if you love this episode, please click like, comment, share this with a friend. I really want this to be an awesome podcast that is very useful. You know, I don't want these 1 hour, 2 hour long podcasts where you hear a whole bunch of information, you feel a lot smarter, but you don't know how to apply it to your regular life. So the Silicon Valley to Spirituality show is all about how we could take the spiritual, expansive knowledge and apply it to our day-to-day life so that we could improve our life right now. Because all the information in the world, all the psychological models, all these different frameworks, if it doesn't make your life better today, then what are you doing them for? And this is why I'm doing the Silicon Valley to Spirituality show. Click subscribe, share this with a friend, and I'll be back next week with some more tips and tricks on how to improve your life today, right here, right now. Peace.